Okay, so today we're going to solve radical equations and inequalities. Okay, so you guys this should be familiar to you. We're just going to be manipulating radicals a little bit more than you're used to. So my first step is to isolate the radical. I can't do anything with this, right? You guys have seen stuff like this before, right? Okay, so in order to do this, I'm going to add 1 to both sides, which gives me 6 equals the square root of x minus 2. What is the inverse of the square root? Squaring, right? So if I square both sides of this, when did we do this? Do you guys remember? We did it when we were doing completing the square. Remember that? When we were solving, we were completing the square. Okay, so this becomes 36 equals x minus 2. So x equals 38. We got to check it. Why do we have to check it? Because we've got issues with this, right? We've got to check it. All right, so if I get 38, does this work? 5. I'm going to change my color to green. So 5 equals the square root of x, which is 38. What's 38 minus 2? 36 minus 1. 5 equals 6 minus 1. Does it check? It does check. Okay, you have to do your checks. All right, here's another one. Let me change my color. This time, I can't subtract 5 to the sides because then it goes on this side, and then it complicates that side even more. Girls, stop writing. Pencils down. So, what do I do with this? If I can't isolate a radical, I just have to square it. So I'm going to square this side and square this side. No, we're going to square them together. Square them, square them. So when I do that, I get x plus 15 equals 5 plus the square root of x times 5 plus the square root of x. We were just doing that, right? Which equals 5 times 5 is 25. First, last. Square root of x times the square root of x is just x. Now I'm going to do the inner and the outer, which is 5 root x plus 5 root x. If this makes you nervous, go ahead and do a box. Hopefully soon you'll be able to do it in your head, or at least with a little bit of assistance like this. So this would be 25, and this would be x, and this is 5 root x, and this is 5 root x. So no matter which way you do it, you're going to get the same thing. So I get x plus 15 equals 25 plus 10 root x, because I've got 5 root x's and another 5 root x's, plus x. Okay, now we've got ourselves a little bit more of a dilemma. Got stuff all over the place. So I still need to solve for x. So I'm going to subtract x from both sides and subtract 25 from both sides. And I'm left with, this makes this go away, and this goes away. And we're left with negative 10 equals 10 radical x, divide by 10, divide by 10, negative 1 equals root x. Now what do I do with that? This is where we get a problem. Why? Why would this be a problem? Because I'm squaring a negative right there. Right? So it's going to be positive, but that's going to have an effect. I'm going to show you how right now. You don't have to know that, by the way. I'm just saying for those of you, I'm pushing you a little bit to think about this. That might be a problem, right? You're messing with squares. If that's a -1 and I'm squaring it, I'm just making it a +1. That might pose a problem. So let's check. I have an answer, so the square root of 1 plus 15 should equal 5 plus the square root of 1. This is 16, right? That could be 1 squared. Does 4 equal 6? No. Okay, so that did create a problem. So our answer is no solution. So you have to check these to make sure that you have a solution. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. I want you guys to write this one down. I'm going to start passing back quizzes. Tell me when to scroll down. We're going to skip over the ones that you're going to try because I want to make sure that everybody gets everything they need for homework. Okay, so I'll do 2 more, and then we'll see how much time we have left. Okay, so 3n plus 2 to the 1/3 plus 1. I need to isolate my radical first, so I'm going to do that. If this makes you nervous, this is the same thing as saying the square root of 3n plus 2, or radical 3n plus 2 cubed. I've got one of them. All right, and what would I do with this? I would cube it, right? They're inverses of each other, right? If it was a square root, I would square it. If it's cubed, I would cube it. If it's to the 4th root, I would take it to the 4th power. Okay, you can do the same thing with fractions if this is okay with you. Okay, it's actually easier with fractions. So first I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides. So then I have 3n, put your pencil down, 3n plus 2 to the 1/3 equals -1. What's the inverse of 1/3? 3/1. So I'm going to cube it, both sides. It's the same thing as doing that. There's 1.
Yeah, but like, is that the one that's a little scared, not the inverse of the 5,
This is the same thing as this.
So this is the 1/3?
No, 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 no. I said, how would you get that out from underneath there?
Oh.
I would cube it. That's why I see what you're saying. That's why I'm cubing this one. If I had this, I would cube both sides, right? Okay, so when I cube it, 3/1 times 1/3 is 3/3, which is just 1. So now I have 3n plus 2 equals -1. There's too much shuffling and sleeping. So when I subtract 2 from both sides, this is my final product. I'm going to make it look pretty. -2 minus 2 gives me 3n equals -3. Therefore, I don't need this anymore. Oh, I just uncovered my answer. You didn't see it, okay? N equals -1. Now what do I need to do with this? Check it. So, not that big of a deal. 3 times -1 plus 2 to the 1/3 plus 1 has to equal 0. This is -3 plus 2 to the 1/3 plus 1 equals 0, which is -1 to the 1/3 plus 1 equals 0. Most of you should be able to see that's still -1. Or if you don't like that, just put it in here. The cubed root of -1 is -1. Plus 1 is 0, which is just 0. So it checks. Questions on that one? Okay, here's the complicated one. This is where things change just a little bit. Same process. I'm going to add 2 to both sides. meant to do that in green. Add 2 to both sides. And I get the square root of 4x minus 4 must be less than 6. Square both sides. And I get 4x minus 4 is less than 36. Did it again. 4x minus 4 is less than 36. Add 4 to both sides, and you get 4x is less than 40. Divide by both sides, I get x is less than 10. Okay, this is how we check these. These are a little bit different. I just found that x must be less than, not equal to, but less than 10. The difference between inequalities and equalities is that this says n equals -1, and all I have to do is check it, right? This one says, hey, n is all the numbers that are less than 10. That's a lot of numbers, right? But we have problems with radicals because the radicand has to be greater than 0. So I better do some checking, not just with this solution, but all of them underneath it, right? So, in order to do that, I need to check this right here. For what? 4x minus 4 must be what? Greater than or equal to 0. Josiah, sit. Sit down. So if I add 4 to both sides, I get 4x must be greater than or equal to 4, so x must be greater than or equal to 1. Say here's 1, greater than or equal to. Doesn't that mean that x must be in between these? We'll do that one in green. So the way I would write that would be x such that x is in between, not including 10, but including 1. If you are wondering if you are correct or not, there's a really easy way to figure that out. You can do a really quick check. What would be an easy one to check over here?
I like 1.
Not 1. 1's included there.
0.
0. Let's check 0. Check 0. 4 times 0 is 0. Minus 4, is that going to work? Nope. Can't do that because that makes it a negative. That's a no. What about something over here? I could check 10 because 10 is not supposed to be included. Check 10. If I check 10, I get 4 times 10 is 40, minus 4 is 36, which is 6 minus 2 is less than 4. Is 4 less than 4? Nope. So therefore, that's not included, so this must be the solution. This is out. These are all out. There's your solution. Questions? Yes? This?
Yes.
Yes. Okay? You need to draw this. You know why? Because it's not always going to be in between. You've got to see the visual of the number line to know which direction it's going to go. All right, copy that down.